So Aliena found the love of her life once again, and he found a tie to his father at long last. But where's Philip? Show me where Philip is. I want to see Philip. There he is.
So much has grown, but there are no roots, no herbs.
What are you looking at, Jonathan?
The garden is in disorder. I want it to be right again, but I don't know how to do it.
Before I became prior, I thought the same about Kingsbridge.
Well, what did you do?
I cleaned up.
Where do we start?
Some plants are weeds and must go before we can plant new seeds.
What are weeds?
They take away what the other plants need to grow. Light, water, room.
What do we do?
Pluck them. They look a lot like every other plant, so you need to learn how to tell them apart. Here, you see those? They're called wood sorrel. Let's pluck only those for now.
I'll do it.
If you insist. Make sure to pull out all of the thin roots.
And now what do I do?
For plants to take root, the soil must be loose and fertile.
So, may I dig now? Done. What's next?
Suggest to water the seed. There's no... Yep. Order of operations, man. There's no seed to water.
Stay here. I'll be right back.
After changing hands so many times, this place is vacant. Entirely. Feels weird to see this room empty.
Ah, here they are. You always said you wanted to plant these seeds and make a new garden, Milius. I think it's about time.
Stop reminding me to be sad about Milius. Oh, come on. You're just gonna bring him in here as a ghost now?
What did you bring?
Do you remember Milius? A kind man with a warm smile. Well, he told me to give you this.
Whoa!
just have to wait.
All right. How long?
Too long for us to keep sitting here.
That long.
Some things take time. And only with patience will you receive your reward.
Why do we have to do all these things if all we had to do is wait?
Simply waiting would not have been enough, Jonathan. You just paved the way for things to take their course. They are happening right now. And in a few days' time, we will return and see the first green leaf of something new.
Oh. Is it God's reward?
Maybe.
Does he make things grow?
You made it.
No. I just planted the seed.
Now you can fetch some water from the rain barrel.
But that water's smelly. It's been there forever. There are many trees by the river. I bet that water's better.
That's a longer walk, though.
I don't mind. The distance is worth it.
Maybe you're right. It is worth it. Let's walk together then.
But I'll carry the bucket.
Little hints of hope for the kid, like being willing to go further for higher quality water, or even to having that hint of humility of saying, I didn't make it, I just planted the
Why
seed.
isn't Remigius holding the sermon? What's gotten into Philip?
Our church lies in ruins. But all of this, these dire times, have revealed something important to us. Something that, maybe until today, I wasn't aware of.
What do you mean?
You've been praying in these ruins. But you've been praying like you always did, in humbleness. We don't need a church for prayer.
Where else are we going to pray? The chapter house?
The church is where God resides.
God doesn't work in the ways we might assume. Today, Jonathan tended to our garden to make it beautiful again. And he told me of things I almost had forgotten. Good and evil are not in here or out there. They are within each of us. God made us in His image. Thus, we carry the godly spark within us. But we have witnessed that man can have the devil in his heart as well. Prayer needs no special place, for we are His church. In our actions, He exists.
We are God's temple.
No man is closer to God than any other man. Whether you pray in church or on the streets of our towns, whether you're a man, woman, monk, or bishop.
Philip, look outside. You have to see them. You've got to see the horses and the colours.
Jonathan. Now, what's going on?
I heard noises and I went to look.
Calm down. What happened?
But the priest said they brought a miracle.
Who? What? What priest?
Who needs a finished church anyway? That thing looks badass.
Sisters, for you are about to see something that will change your life.
Who is that?
They brought us a miracle.
A miracle?
Don't be shy. There is no danger, just awe that awaits you here. Ah, you must be Prior Philip. I am Brother Reynold. I have been sent by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Here is his letter, in case you have reasonable doubts.
Letter from the Archbishop of Canterbury. Honestly, that place looks badass. I'd be a little concerned about its durability and whether it'll last or whether it's safe because it's so incomplete. But the giant open sky with god beams coming down and everything, and the plants growing inside the building, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Letter dated January 20th, 1141. Philip of Kingsbridge, I hereby implore you to accept the grace of the Weeping Madonna, for she has chosen Kingsbridge as her shrine. After the rumors of our miracle had come to my ears, I had called for the procession to see me. I then saw it with my own eyes. She is real. I have claimed the miracle for England, and had intended to retain her in Winchester. The guardians of the Madonna have convinced me otherwise. They have come to England only to support the rebuilding of Kingsbridge. You have my blessings, Philip of Kingsbridge. I expect you to restore your priory to the worthy of the Holy Madonna. Theobald, Archbishop of Canterbury. You're telling me that the love journey across all of Europe that has a trinket created by inventors is going to be a false. It's gonna be a false miracle that leads to the church being ultimately built. Is that where we're going with this? Because it makes sense, because while I was talking about that the way the direction was going of the story, how it felt like it could have been an ending for those characters. The one thing that would really be full circle solution is if Jack ultimately gets to finish rebuilding the church that he burned down as a child. And so the idea of him coming in with the Deus Ex Weeping Madonna. Saying Deus Ex anything is really funny when you're talking about an actual thing about actual miracles and gods and whatnot, due to the theological center of the story.
We've been charged to accompany the Weeping Madonna. She is to replace the loss of your relic, Saint Adolphus the Martyr, who was taken from you, I hear, with brute force.
What?
Oh, that's Jack and Aliena right there.
On her travel from far away Africa, she has collected donations to reward Kingsbridge for your faith in her and in the Lord.
I can't believe this. What is all this?
You do believe. That is why she came. And that is why you shall witness her miracle for yourself today. The Weeping Madonna came to me in a faraway land named Africa. A baptized Saracen was her former guardian, and I and the custodians of the Holy Virgin were chosen to take her on a journey.
Baptized? A Saracen?
I knew not her powers or destination. Nevertheless, I carried her for many miles. Many bore witness to her miracle before it dawned upon me. She wanted to go home, but where? It came to me in a dream. It was Kingsbridge. But I wondered, what shrine should be her shelter? This time, it was the Madonna herself who answered my questions. She said, "You shall build me a new church in Kingsbridge." So we set off, with the blessing of Archbishop Theobald of Canterbury. And along the road, from Paris, across Normandy, over the sea, and all the way to Kingsbridge.
What is the deal?
Devout Christians have given money for the building of the Church of the Weeping Madonna. This Church of Kingsbridge. The Weeping Madonna has chosen you, all of you. I will tell you again, dear brothers and sisters. The Weeping Madonna
is he just
has
looping now?
chosen you,
So where did this guy
all
come
of
from that
you.
has nothing? He has nothing to do with what anyone else is.
I could have continued to carry her from
God, he's full of
town to
himself.
town
He wasn't
until
involved
my
in the
flesh
origin story
succumbed.
or anything, and he
But
just,
this
I don't know where he came
was
from,
not
and he's
her
so
will.
hype on his own
I
fumes.
wondered, what shrine should be her shelter?
What country did you say you came from?
We have traveled all the way from a place of wonders too marvelous to behold. The faraway land of Africa.
Africa has many countries, I've heard.
Yes, it does. You must be
And
thinking,
he's not going to say what's.
how can he be so sure?
This guy's not from Africa.
In the beginning,
Those,
I was
they were
not.
both there, because that's
only had
Aliena
my
and that's
faith.
Jack. Why is this
I
happening?
knew
Where'd you
not
come from? Go
her
away.
powers or destination.
What's it like in Africa?
The sun is always shining, and miracles happen every day. It's a land of great deserts, fig trees, and creatures that an Englishman can't even dream up.
Like these horses. Are they horses?
They are not. To you, they might resemble horses, but the name the Africans have for these creatures is impossible to pronounce, even for me.
Oh my God,
You
he's
must wonder
just so used to people
why was
hyping him up, and
Kingsbridge chosen to
I
be the
hate
home of the
him.
Holy Virgin?
I hate him.
You mentioned there were fig trees in Africa. What are they?
It's a fruit, of course. It looks like a strawberry and tastes like a pear.
The scripture mentions these figs, and they sound nothing like that. Why is that?
No two apples look or taste alike. The same goes for figs, and doubly so.
I'm getting the impression that this man has never even been to Africa. But why would he lie?
You heard me correctly. It was a long journey.
There's something odd about them. Not very Christian, more like entertainers. He can talk a little too well, dubious. Traveling shrine? Parts look like reliquaries. People donated for us. How would they know about us? What is going on here? Maybe I should look around.
I could have continued to carry her from town to town until my flesh succumbed. But this was not her will.
Excuse me. Don't interrupt.
You're literally looping. Stop it.
Brothers and sisters, I have heard, but it is in places.
And I saw the
like
Mass
these,
Effect Andromedaing
and
me.
in dark
This may look
times
like a mushroom,
like these.
but it's not actually a mushroom. It's completely different from a mushroom for
brightest.
reasons. Oh, they have humps on their back.
And along
They're
the
not real, obviously, because that's not what camels look like. But I didn't notice that before. Strange animals. Camels? 2 bumps in their back. No, they're not. They come off.
They look almost like horses.
Christians have given money for the building of the church.
Feels like a
of the
wicker
Weeping
basket
Madonna.
covered in pelt.
Probably is a whisker basket covered in pelt.
Church
Those are the
of
peacock feathers.
Kingsbridge.
Are there peacocks in Africa?
Brothers and sisters.
Do you speak English?
No English, no campanare. No.
To Kingsbridge.
Oh, what's this? I think you might have stepped into horse dung.
What? Where?
No English, is it?
Just un poco, sì.
Could you talk to this man, Martha?
Yes, it's strange. He was quite talkative just a moment ago. He told me he was from Damascus in Africa.
Isn't Damascus in Arabia?
There's one in Africa too, I'm sure.
Why are you pretending you can't speak English?
No inglese. Melada.
But it is in
There's one in Africa too, I'm sure. That's a weird claim when you're not sure. Hey, he grew up.
that God's light
Hey, he grew up. I saw him in there. Hey.
and along the road,
Who's not a baby anymore?
across
Curious
the
toddler. What's he doing there? We don't know him. Somehow he seems familiar. Yeah, you didn't recognize Jack's beard at all?
What is in this book will not help me more than the answers I can find in my own heart.
For the building of the
That just means you're not reading it hard enough.
Madonna. This church. Oh,
I am Philip.
Kingsbridge.
Who are
I will
you,
tell
young man?
again, dear brothers and sisters. The weeping Madonna has chosen you.
Why are you
All
hiding?
of you. I could have continued to carry her
That's
from
not fit for a
town to
shrine.
town until my flesh
Nothing sacred
succumbed.
about this.
But this was not her will. But I wondered, what
He's just-
shrine should be her shelter?
My Bible, the Word of God, they say. That sounds distant compared to before, doesn't it?
Who answered my questions.
Old rags, very unlike the front.
How can
It's
you
where the
be
people
so
are
sure?
kept, I think. What is...
In the beginning, I was not.
Why is he trying to hype us up on the story if we're supposed to be the ones that receive the money as opposed to donate it?
Nevertheless, I carried her for many
Also, he just
miles.
keeps looping,
I
which
will
is
tell
just
you again.
bizarre.
Can you feel it? Brothers and sisters, you are about to witness a miracle. The Madonna knows how you have suffered. The Virgin Mother had to witness the rise and fall of her Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, and never stopped believing. Kingsbridge has endured many hardships. Prior James left you before his time when you needed him the most. Your old cathedral was burned to the ground,
How do you know this?
and your new one collapsed even before construction was finished. You have suffered the ruthless destruction of your market, homes, and lives.
Dada!
All of you have lost husbands, wives, and children, family and friends.
Dada!
All of you know how it is to be hungry and afraid.
Jack. Aliena.
Philip.
But this is...
A miracle, isn't it? Or something along those lines.
But how?
We thought it was time to give Tommy a home.
The boy? Your boy?
Well, Philip, do you recognize him? Our little Tommy?
Tommy? But... It's been almost 3 years since I last saw you, Jack. Where on earth did you find him?
I'd almost given up looking for him. Then Tommy found him.
And you decided to come back.
Well, this is our home, after all.
Then what on earth is all this? This miracle?
With the Madonna, we were able to collect donations for your priory and for Kingsbridge.
Really?
We can start anew. We can rebuild the cathedral.
What's the catch?
I'll get to be master builder.
Why?
I've studied the cathedrals, churches, and houses they build in France and Spain. I saw how different their constructions were, with new shapes, colors, and ideas. Oh, you should have seen it. They combined rib vaulting and pointed arches. I want to do that. That's why.
Why here?
Because this is home.
The townspeople probably think that's enough to build a whole cathedral. But to me, it looks like about £100. You know that won't even pay for a year's work.
Like all of this, it's a symbol. Enough for a fresh start.
And the Madonna will stay here. Kingsbridge will attract visitors and donations again.
You mean I should be thankful for these lies and tricks?
Jack! Aliena! You came back!
We wanted to see you, little sister.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. But look at you! And the little one!
Tommy.
How are the others?
Alfred left Kingsbridge. Richard shows up every now and then, and Ellen returned to the forest.
We need to visit her.
What's wrong, Mother?
I'm glad you're back.
I am too. Very glad.
She looks like she's about to cry.
She will weep for your suffering, Kingsbridge. She knows your pain.
What now?
The miracle!
Her eyes are wet.
Her eyes!
Look at her. Heaven.
They're shining!
She cannot hold her tears any longer.
She is made of wood. It's impossible.
Why are you weeping?
She's mute ever since her husband died.
The Madonna has suffered as I have. She understands.
It seems through her faith in all of your lies, Mary has found a miracle. We can't keep trying to repair Kingsbridge by ourselves. Things are not improving. We're struggling to keep things as they are.
But we can't afford to hire help.
Without farming and fairs, we're back to Prior James's time.
All these past years, my advice was good enough for you. But it appears you've changed your mind now, again.
It is time we started doing something to wake up and make Kingsbridge what it used to be. We did before, and we can do it again.
I'm not willing to accept a risk like that. Don't you remember what happened last time? My, how easily we forget.
I remember well.
And still, you put your trust into a group of random strangers to make things better. Philip, why in God's name have you stood by and let this happen? They're tricking us into giving them money for false idols.
They are giving us money.
So that we'll place this idol in our priory? Do you approve of this?
People need hope, and these travelers are giving them hope. Yes, it is a deception, but with good intentions. Mary speaks again. Is that not a true miracle?
You fell for them. You really did. And now you joyfully take part in their deceptions. I'm warning you. I cannot support a prior who tolerates heresy.
Your threat won't sway me. No matter how unconventional, their return and their gift are a blessing.
You made your decision, Philip of Gwynedd. And now, I make mine. I resign. I'm leaving the priory.
Oh no, Remigius is gone. What a tragedy. Everyone's gonna be so sad. What was his name again? Oh, the shouty one.
You got so big, Tommy. And you're just as shy as your father was.
Don't let him fool you. Usually, he's always up to something.
Tom would have been proud of you. Of both of you.
Is she still here? Tom's wife.
Oh, No. Martha and I moved her to Kingsbridge. She's with Tom now. He always wanted that.
Ellen, we found Jack's family in Cherbourg.
The place he came from wasn't Cherbourg, it was Cherbourg.
But... really? What were they like?
They were good people.
His grandmother said Jack looked just like him, like his father.
He does. But they never came for him or asked about him.
They thought he was dead. His ship sunk. He'd always wanted to go to England.
Have you ever heard of the White Ship?
No.
The king's family drowned.
My father was there. He was the only one who survived.
Not for long.
You told me that he was accused of stealing a chalice.
Yes, but I know he was innocent. I heard the story and had to find out what he looked like. He told me his name. I fell in love. I helped him escape. But in the end, they caught up with us.
What happened then?
They hanged him. I was there. And you were there, Jack. But you weren't born yet. He was led to the gallows. Everyone was quiet. The people somehow knew he was not a thief. But I knew for sure. He told me. He was so afraid. He didn't want to die. I didn't want him to die. And I prayed. Then I heard his voice. Quiet.
Sang sweeter than ever, as if the falling melody might wing and net dissever. At dusk the hunter took his prey, the lark his freedom net.
No! No!
You said that 3 men were responsible for Father's death.
Who were they?
The Sheriff of Shiring, Percy Hamley, Prior James of Kingsbridge, and Archdeacon Waileran Bygod. They showed no mercy. Neither did I. I curse you! All of you! He will return to haunt you! One day, you will be judged for what you did. Your houses shall be consumed by fire. Your life shall end in pain and agony. You shall grow old in sadness and regret. The people they killed will return to haunt them. I promised them.
We welcome our new prior, Remigius. He helped to recover the bones of the Saint of Kingsbridge, Adolphus, from the hands of thieves. Adolphus already rests safely in this great cathedral of Shiring. Our master builder Alfred promised me that it will only be a matter of a few years until the cathedral will be finished. And the Earl of Shiring has promised to support us. But he has not done so for himself. No, the Earl is not a selfish man. His mother, Lady Hamley, is sick. More and more, I feel the whole of England is suffering from a sickness. The sickness of war, poverty, and most of all, heathen beliefs. I have spoken to God. I asked him, begged him to walk amongst us, to heal us. But God told me that only when this great cathedral is finished will he have a temple to reside in. No matter the cost, this shall be a towering castle to protect us from evil and false beliefs. With this cathedral, we will bring an end to the dark times.
Waileran, by God!
Jack, what are you doing here?
My father died by your hands, Waileran. His name was Jacques Cherbourg.
How dare you talk to the bishop like that?
He died right here!
Who are you?
I know that man. He's that bastard from Kingsbridge.
That man is my husband.
You?
All of you, listen to what we have to say. From now on, Kingsbridge is protected.
By our knights, by our walls, and by the word of the king.
So whatever you do, we will defend our town, our market and fulling mills.
And our cathedral, which we shall rebuild. All workers are invited to come and work for us.
Oh, preposterous.
If you so much as try to bring harm to us, Bishop, we will make sure that you pay for everything you did.
Boom. Shots fired. Alright, so something that stood out to me there is like she's cursing them all, and of course Waileran, by God, the insufferable, is just smirking smugly there. The other guy was uncomfortably looking back and forth like, oh, is anyone saying this? But in particular, you could see Prior James looking down in shame and actually directly responding to the curse, and it probably feeding into the actual guilt he was already feeling at that point. It seems like his guilt and the supposed curse were probably what led to him supposedly sprinting across a frozen lake away from a devil, as he was probably responding to this burdened up guilt over what he did, and that ultimately led to his death, probably. Chapter 16, Home. You helped Jonathan plant a new tree. You've held your first sermon in a long time. You proved the deception of the Madonna, for it gives people hope. Aliena and Jack have returned to Kingsbridge at long last. All the characters are coming back together. That one ensemble thing of those characters all standing together, I think I saw that on the Steam page when the game first came out. So I don't know, that was immediately a familiar sight. I'm like, oh shit, has it been building up to this point? All the characters are united in a goal, and they're together, and it's basically every known character we have in the crew. There was one little thing that was distracting to me, which is that during the intro of this game, the HBO style musical intro they do, there's like it's clearly a bunch of the game's normal assets. It's a dramatic intro that's like good at, like, you know, looking neat and hyping up the upcoming episode and everything like that. But it's a bunch of black silhouettes on a sky that's flying by. And I can't help but notice that all the black silhouettes are just like the assets that are already in the game and the characters and whatnot. And in particular, it just happened again, which is that we had the pregnant mother cursing everyone, and when she was in the back of the crowd, all we had were a bunch of black shapes. I could not help but notice that, like, I could recognize several of the black shapes as being characters from throughout the series, from different towns and everything like that. In particular, I think I saw the woman that Aliena was actually learning how to trade wool from and stuff like that. Like, I'm like, oh look, there's that person, there's that person. I think if you screenshotted that moment and looked at all the silhouettes, you could probably figure out which character each one was, because it's definitely existing assets as opposed to like a generic crowd. It just stood out to me a little bit. I want to see where this is going, though. Also, I really want to punch Waileran in his dumb face using a cartoon person's sword. It's not really a punch at that point. It's fine. Everything's fine. Just everyone on that area just needs to die.